is my review of Death Note. Okay, so in this episode, Higuchi gets caught, basically. Long story short, Higuchi gets caught. But in the process, he actually kind of sort of tips off the Kira Task Force that something else is larger is at play. So it starts off with Higuchi en route to Yoshida Productions with Light having set it up so that the Kira Task Force can both watch Sakura TV, the Sakura TV newscast, as well as Higuchi's car surveillance. And on the way to Yoshida Productions, Higuchi has a bit of a back and forth with Rem about his options, about what he can do and who he can kill in order to keep himself from being incriminated. So, and Light, L, and Misa all see this, and though Misa can see Rem, Light and L cannot, and they begin to surmise who exactly he's talking to, and what exactly is going on. And L surmises what he believes is probably the most likely course of action, that he might in fact be talking to a Shinigami. But other than that, all they can do is surmise. They have no idea what exactly is going on. All they know is that he seems to be talking to himself, although he keeps referring to somebody named Rem, and they have no idea who that is. So, and they know he's not talking to somebody over a radio because the only thing in there is Weddy's bugs and stuff that she put in. So, and Elle is convinced that she did a pretty thorough job of making sure there was no other surveillance equipment in there. So, as far as Elle knows, there's nothing else in there except the TV that Higuchi is watching everything on inside of his car, because he modified his car for whatever reason to hold the TV, which doesn't seem particularly safe. But in any case, he arrives at Yoshida Productions with Weddy in tow, and Iber and Mogi hanging out near the door to make sure he makes an arrest, to basically make an arrest on L's word. But L has them hold off for a minute because they still don't know how Higuchi actually kills yet, so they need to keep an eye on him until he does something. And sure enough, the plan goes off without a hitch. Higuchi goes into the Yoshida Productions main staffing office. He finds Matsuda's file, and again, it's another fake alias. And he writes down the name and retreats back to his car. But then 40 seconds pass, and Matsuda is still alive, so he quickly realizes that it's not indeed a dead person, and he exclaims out loud that he didn't die. At which point, Elle and Light begin to become suspicious as to how exactly Higuchi is able to kill, pointing out that all he really did. Then they even point out that all he really did was write down his name, so it's entirely and they're not entirely sure how Kira kills at this point, so they have no idea what's going on. All I know is that he wrote down his name, is a little too calm afterward, and then when Matsuda doesn't die, he exclaims loudly in disappointment. At which point Higuchi realizes that the best likely scenario is to actually go to the main office go to the security office at Yotsuba, pointing out that they most likely have security footage from when he snuck in. And all he needs to do is look at his face, at which point he makes a Shinigami ideal, and that catches Light and L's attention, because they don't know what the Shinigami ideal is, or at least Light does, but he's forgotten because of Death Note shenanigans. But in case, Higuchi makes a deal, and now he's able to see a person's name when he looks at their face, and then tests his new power out when a traffic cop stops him, and he proceeds to kill him by writing his name down and using his Shinigami eyes to see the guy's name. At which point Higuchi escapes. The guy goes into pursuit and dies. At which point Weddy pulls back and leaves it to Mogi and Iber. So this leaves L with a lot of questions, namely what happened in between then and now, since if Higuchi was able to kill just by looking at Matsuda's face, he would have done so by now. and believes that in between that time that he most likely has made a deal with a Shinigami, even though he isn't entirely convinced that Shinigami are real. But in any case, he puts out an APB on Higuchi and points out that only the Kira Task Force is going to be handling it, since the police officers are kind of at risk for dying if they get close, pointing out that he's a little too dangerous to be approached because of his Shinigami eyes now. So, and with that, Elle and Light decide to leave and go join the chase, so that they can actually help corner Higuchi, but not before restraining Misa to a chair so that she doesn't escape. But in any case, they get into a helicopter with Watari, who for whatever reason is a master sniper. I will get to that in a minute. But they chase after Higuchi, tracking his movements, and then are a bit confused when he suddenly moves to Yoshida Productions. When he used to Yotsuba, and they realize that he's most likely going to be going for the security footage so they can get a clear shot of his face. And in between the sequence, they realize that they need to actually put in stand-ins for both the announcer and Matsuda so that they don't get killed when and if Higuchi actually arrives at Sakura TV. So they set up mannequins and just play the pre-recorded message that they have. But in any case, Higuchi arrives at Yotsuba. He's unable to find the footage because Wendy deleted it already. So, and at which point he finally goes to Sakura TV to try and get a glimpse at Matsuda's face so he can actually kill him. But by this point they're closing in on him, and they're all lying in wait. And they do manage to catch him. So Higuchi doesn't realize that he's walking into a trap. He notices that there's literally no security because there's literally no one there worth protecting. So he goes into the main interviewing room and is cornered by Kira task force members, led by Soichiro Yagami. And while and Higuchi feigns trying to bluff his way out of it, and then opens fire on Soichiro, hitting him non-fatally in the arm before fleeing, as everybody else is trying to basically mend Soichiro's wound so he doesn't bleed out. But in any case, Higuchi runs back to his car and proceeds to escape with the Kira Task Force in hot pursuit. At which point he runs into a police blockade set up by Aizawa of all people. Apparently Aizawa was still working with the task force in secret, and even though L told everybody to stay out of it, he sets up a blockade so that Higuchi can't actually escape, and he quickly realizes that he did walk into a trap and tries to escape, but then Watari blows out his tires so he can't actually leave, and realizing he's completely out of options, Higuchi pulls out his gun and threatens to shoot himself, but Watari snipes the gun out of his hand before he can. And with that, Higuchi is captured and arrested. So, yeah, this episode introduces a lot of things, and this episode just opens the inkling that the Kira Task Force may or may not know how Kira works now. They've learned a bit of information about him, but they don't actually have any. They don't have anything solid. But based on Higuchi's reactions and behavior and his interactions with Rem, they have a pretty solid idea of what's going on. So, yeah. I'm assuming now that Higuchi has literally nothing left to lose, he's eventually going to fill him in on the rest of the details. I'm assuming he's not going to have much of a choice, since they have a lot of information to go on already. They're probably going to push him until he finally reveals everything else. So, yeah, overall, that was what this episode was. Higuchi kind of screwed up and revealed that the Death Note might be a thing. So, yeah, that's definitely going to play a bigger role into the episode going forward. But in any case, that's my review of Death Note. What you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!